Welcome to part 1 of my Any tutorial for Ben 10 Protective Earth for the PSP, PS2 and Wii. Previously, apart from my old terrible forward gravity glitch tutorial, there hasn't been much help in learning this run other than watching runs or asking the friendly people to Ben 10 Speedrun in Discord server. With this series of videos, split up by individual levels and this introduction, I hope to be able to teach you how to run this hidden gem of licensed games. Now, this tutorial has been written with the understanding that I have at least finished one playthrough of the game before. I'll still somewhat cover the basics, but having a basic understanding of how the game plays is required for a lot of this tutorial to make any sense. Undoubtedly, your first question in running is going to be, what version should I play? Well, the three have their pros and cons. The fastest in terms of gameplay is the PSP version. It loads the fastest out of all of them and performs pretty well. However, PSP footage is very hard to record, and this was only released in North America. Plus the PSP PlayStation Store will soon be taken down, so it's no longer viable. The version many most likely own is the PS2 version. The traditional button layout and ease of recording does make this seem like the best option, but this is the worst performing version of the game, with long load times and poor frame rates. The Wii version has pretty close load times to the PSP, and is pretty easy to record, especially if you have a Wii U. However, it takes some time to get used to the controls. Button mapping is somewhat baffling, and the motion controls are a little temperamental. Any three of these would be good options when starting out, but if you have to choose, I'd recommend the Wii version at the end of the day. Best of both worlds. Just expect to take some time getting used to it. But what about emulation, I hear you asking? It's not the best option to go for at the end of the day. Emulators for these consoles, while mostly performing well, are very inaccurate. Stuff like loading times and performance differences changes how the versions run. Also, we technically hide emulated runs on the leaderboard. They're viewable with toggle, but it's a bit of a hassle. My general rule of thumb is emulators are fine for practice, especially with technology such as save states, but play on actual hardware if you're doing runs. Now that if you decide your platform, it's time to learn some glitches. You see, while there are sections in the game that have their own thing, glitches are mainly the same three: the forward gravity glitch, the XLR8 Clip, and the Cannonbolt Ramp Jump Delay. Let's explain them. The forward gravity glitch, or FGG as it's called, is the most used in the run, and you'll definitely want to get a handle on it. This glitch can be performed by either Accelerate or Cannonbolt. Accelerate is generally easier, but it goes a bit slower. Cannonbolt is the fastest option, but is a lot harder to set up and control due to his large size. You perform this glitch by pressing the jump button and then pressing the heavy attack button as soon as possible. If you stand on the ledge and hold the direction of the ledge, you'll then be sent flying through the sky, your forward velocity greatly increased, with your downwards velocity greatly decreased. We use this to fly throughout the level, skipping sometimes what feels like the entire level. A good way to practice this would be to take a fully finished save file, go to Grand Canyon, the first level, and right here at this fence, attempt to break it and pull off the glitch. Now, this brings up some things about loading, so let me explain how triggers work. There are 4 triggers. The first 2, fight and death triggers, are pretty self-explanatory. There are also 2 kinds of loading triggers, visible and invisible. If you miss these, the level will just flat out not load unless you hit the triggers and die. So make sure you hit the visible, then invisible loading triggers when pulling off FGGs. I'll explain where the triggers are located in each individual level video. The next is the Accelerate Clip. This is done with Accelerate and allows you to break through most walls. Essentially, you unleash Accelerate's triple light attack, or cranial razor. With the right timing, after the third input, you press the transform button, and either as spent or whatever alien you have selected, if you have master control, you go through the barrier thanks to a temporary lack of collision. This is very useful to go out of bounds into areas you're not meant to be, and skip huge sections of the level. Now, the actual timing is a little bit weird. It's going to require some practice. I recommend practicing in Mesa Verde, the second level, specifically this door right here, next to the switch. Normally I use Accelerate to try and speed past the door before it closes. Instead, try and glitch through it, and then just do it again until you get the timing down. Lastly is the Cannonbolt Ramp Jump Delay. This is a very difficult glitch, and I'd only recommend going for this if you're competing for top level times, but for the sake of completion, I'll explain it. Essentially, the ramps you roll up as Cannonbolt have a bit of a weird detection. If you use Cannonbolt's special attack right above the ramp, you'll shoot up into the air, even if you aren't near the ramp. This is useful for skipping small sections, but for beginners, just performing this section as normal is preferable. When you're ready to begin your run, you first want to go and select New Game, then select the easy difficulty. When selecting a save file, I'd rather recommend selecting a blank save file. As soon as you select this blank save file, the run will begin. However, if you use a non-blank save file, the run will begin instead of being confirmed to overwrite the save file. If you're on the PS2 version and you have removed the memory cards, the run will begin instead when you select yes to confirm lack of autosave. This is where the first part of where the tutorial ends. By now, you should have a basic understanding of how the run will work across its levels. In the next part, we will actually begin the run with the first level, Grand Canyon. Thank you so much for watching part 1 of my Any tutorial series. Part 2 should hopefully be coming within a month, and that will cover the first level of the game, Grand Canyon. If you want to see more contents like this, subscribe to my channel, and also support me on my recently opened Patreon. Links for that and all social medias are in the description. And if you want to learn more about the run yourself, join the Ben 10 Speedrunning Discord server. I've left the link to that as well in the description. Alright, thanks.